just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there. He's punching me in the stomach. Like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's doing the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think I'm going to practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for the show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd. Can we close the door? Yeah, we got some doors you got to close here so nobody can hear us and we don't hear them. We got a big show for you today. Listen, a lot of conversation going on about LSU sports. Baseball is in the midst of a 4-game losing streak and culminated. Actually, I won't say culminated because they haven't broken it yet. But they lose Monday at home to Southern in not great fashion, is a good way to put it. They lost 12-7, and at no point in the game did you feel like they had control. And those things happen. It hurts when it comes after a 3-game sweep on the road. You did play the #1 team in the country, so I understand that part of it. But doesn't feel good. Obviously, you can tell Jay feels it a little bit. You know the guys on the team feel it a little bit. Jay's radio show, I guess it was yesterday, had a lot of conversation about how to fix it, right? And I think Jay made a pretty good point, and he said, guys are playing hard. Guys want to be here. They care. They want to do well. They just have to do a better job of being good at baseball. Right, and playing baseball. Not that they're not good, they're just not playing up to their capabilities right now, which I think everybody knows. It's not about talent. It's not about not being capable. It's about nobody has really gotten hot. Everybody's cold at the same time. And that does not bode well, especially when you start the season off against 2 top 5 teams in the country and your first 4 series that are against top 10 teams in the country, which happen to be in your conference. They are back at it tomorrow night against Vanderbilt. So it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against Vanderbilt, who is ranked in the top 10. They're coming off of a 3-game. They got swept. No. They're coming off of a 3-game sweep They are 6-3 in conference. Kind of a funky start to the season for them in conference play. They swept the first series, got swept, and then swept again. So 3 series, 3 sweeps, 2 times they've swept, 1 time they've been swept. As usual, they are a really good team, really talented team, play the game the right way. Pitching staff is carrying them right now. They're offensively, they get on base, and we're going to get into all this. They do a lot of the Vanderbilt stuff that we've grown accustomed to them over the years. But we're going to get into that. LSU women's basketball, great season. They come up short against Iowa in the Elite Eight. Caitlin Clark was on a different world. And there's nothing you can do when somebody's doing the things that she did in the game Monday night. I mean, they had everybody they could think of try to guard her, and everybody was guarding her pretty tight, and she was still making shots. I think she made 9 3-pointers in the game. She scored 41 points. Sometimes there's really nothing you can do. Everybody talks about the 41 points. There's 2 other girls on the team that scored 20-plus for Iowa that nobody really talks about. So they scored, I think Iowa scored 94 points, and 4 of the girls scored 80-something of those points. That's, it's pretty tough. But Iowa played a really good game. LSU women's basketball had an unbelievable season. When you come off of a national championship, it is very hard to repeat. That's why there's not a ton of them in the history of sports, right? You don't have a lot of teams that can go and win it consistently year in, year out. And so making it back to the Elite Eight, putting them in a situation to make another run in March Madness, I think is a successful season. And you know what? That just fuels them for next year. It gives them a little bit more motivation. Hey, we're coming off. We didn't do what we wanted to do this year. We'll go into the offseason, get back in the lab, and get after it next year. Angel Reese has declared for the WNBA draft. Best of luck to her. Congratulations on a stellar, unbelievable career. Some would say greatest athlete that has ever come through LSU. Yeah. Shaq is
adamant about
that, right? And look, I respect his opinion on that. I have no opinion on it. I'm not gonna get into that. But that's a bold statement. There's a lot of great athletes that have come out of LSU. She's had a great career. Best of luck to her in the WNBA, and we shall see what team picks her. She's a projected lottery pick, obviously, and I would imagine her endorsement deals are going to continue. She's going to continue to make that money. That's probably part of the reason why she declared, "Oh, you have NIL, you can make more than you would make playing WNBA." Yeah, but those NIL deals ain't going anywhere. She's got national sponsorship deals, so she is already tied in with those companies, so those endorsements are going to stay there even while in the WNBA. So best of luck to her. Caitlin Clark has a decision to make after this season. Is she going to play for the Big Three? Or is she going to go to the I guess, did she declare for the WNBA draft? I guess she couldn't already because she's still playing, unless she said during the season. But a lot of action. And we shall see. The Final Four starts on Saturday for the men's. I do not know when the women's Final Four starts. Do you know, Lloyd?
What was the question?
When does the women's Final Four start?
I believe Friday.
Friday. So women's starts Friday, men's starts Saturday. A lot of basketball over the weekend. A lot of baseball over the weekend. Last thing before we get to the baseball conversation is our friend, everybody's friend, at LSU basketball, Will Wade, potentially the next Arkansas head coach. Eric Musselman out there interviewing at the USC job. He's from California, trying to make his way back out to USC, back out to California. That leaves a vacancy in the SEC at Arkansas. Is it too soon for him to come back? Or is it not too soon? Because he still has the... No, I guess he doesn't. Oh, he has a show cause, right? 1 more year left on that, I believe. That's why he restructured his deal and got McNeese that buyout for him. I don't know what that looks like contractually. I don't know if that makes it harder for him to get a job there or not, but definitely interesting.
Show cause runs until June 21st of 2025.
So he has 1 more year under the show cause. So, cannot, right? That's what that means, I believe.
What do you mean?
That he cannot take that job.
No, he could. They would just inherit. I would imagine they would inherit the show cause. Like,
Okay.
you become responsible for Will Wade and all of his actions. And in a world of NIL, I don't believe there would be anything left to really worry about.
Yeah, so he may take it
Yeah, I mean, he did the extension with McNeese in mind.
to help them out
the
because he
buyout.
knew he's leaving. He knows he's not. That's hey, let me get back on the court, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to do this. So I'm going to reward you by restructuring this so there is a buyout. So when I do leave, you do get compensated for my departure. We shall see. That is going to not be good for LSU fans who are holding out hope that he comes back to LSU. That's not going to happen, and so I think we should all just move away from that.
I don't think anybody wanted to see him in the SEC.
No, but you knew he was coming back.
Yeah.
You knew he was coming back.
And I think Arkansas is a job where he would probably entertain as
No doubt.
they've been a perennial contender under Musselman. It's a job that's kind
A
of,
lot of NIL money there.
yeah, I don't know how they use it because they obviously haven't invested a lot of it in football, but the money is there and Will Wade can tap into that if he wants to. Like, he would be a guy that could kind of unshackle the briefcase from Tyson Chicken, Walmart, Jerry Jones,
Etc.
etc.
Etc. We shall see. But we are here to have a conversation about LSU baseball. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of conversation to be had.
They won't see it
They won't see it.
or hear it.
Phones are not allowed
Derek Jeter.
around the clubhouse and field for a very long time. Very long time. And, I think this is Jay's way of limiting the distractions and making them lock in on the task at hand. I don't know what happens in the locker room there. I don't know what's been going on. I don't know how focused or not focused they have been. I would imagine that practices have probably been okay, but something is just not translating from practices to the games as of now.
I heard
Oh, you heard.
through the grapevine
Rumor mill.
that they had one of their best practices of the year.
Great.
Great.
That's what you like to hear.
They said they practice very hard.
They should. Listen, they're very prideful, and they should be, right? And they don't like what's happening right now. They don't like being a defending national champs and being 2-7, and being 20-10, and not having their goals in reach, really, right now, right? Like, I think that they have a lot of work to do to get back to being a contender to win the SEC. I don't think that's even should be a consideration right now. I think right now the most important thing is the game tomorrow. How are we going to win that game tomorrow, and then how are we going to win the game on Friday? How are we going to win this series? Listen, we talked about this on Monday, 15-15 seems like it's a very attainable record, right? I think that's a good benchmark. 15-15, get to 500 in the SEC. You put yourself in a position to make a run in the postseason. I think that's very attainable. You go ahead and you win this weekend, you don't know how that can propel you into a 16-14, 17-13 potentially record in the SEC and getting hot. Now, there's some things that they need to do before, and we've talked a little bit about those things that we want to see, right? Me and Jay were talking off air about some of the stuff that we want and some of the stuff that we're comparing with Vanderbilt, and how you look at their lineup and they only have one guy on the bench that has two guys on the bench that have 30-plus at-bats. Everybody else in the starting lineup has significantly more.
Yeah.
LSU, it feels like everybody's got anywhere between 30 and 100. You probably have four guys on the team with 100 at-bats, and everybody else is between 30-something and 70-something.
Yeah.
And so, to me, that's just obviously Jay's trying to find the magic lineup, trying to figure out the best combination of players. And I understand that, but, Jay was talking about you think that maybe it's time to say, hey, let's give some of these guys more an extended opportunity and see if they can get in a rhythm.
Yeah, I think I think it's coming down to that spot in the season, that sweet spot for this group, to start trying to hone in on who are the, maybe 12 guys, right, that is going to get the bulk of the play, the bulk of the at-bats. Because right now you're spreading it out amongst a good bit of guys, and you know how it goes, man. Like, it could be one day, it could be 2 days in a row that you have that actually spark the feel or what you were looking for that kind of propels you to where you want to be the rest of the season, or the feel that you're looking for the rest of the season. Sometimes when you don't get those in back-to-back days, that prolongs that process, right? Prolongs that, I don't know if that was right, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you feel if Randy Johnson shows up that day and says, hey, I'm going to shove you 7 with 12 strikeouts, you're not thinking that in your head. You just think, oh, I suck today. You never want to really give that kind of credit to the guy on the mound as a hitter. It's just not really a thing you do. So it's hard to understand where you are if you're not out there doing it day in and day out. And I think the closer he can get to kind of honing in on who are those guys. And look, at the end of the day, guess what? You're probably going to have to piss some people off. So be it.
Yep.
It is what it is.
You've been pissed off.
And we've all been pissed off, right? I've been pissed off. You've been pissed off. We've all been pissed off. And you get to that spot and it either makes you better or you just go ahead and just twiddle away with the wind and kind of just find yourself at another spot because you don't want to deal with the pressure and or the competition. This is what it is, nature of the beast. But I think the closer he can get to finding who those guys are for him, the better chance you have of this lineup kind of getting going and kind of turning over and doing what it needs to do.
So Skip has always said you should have your lineup and your guys. You should know those guys in that lineup by tax day. Right, which is next week, right? I mean, I think April 15th.
The wrong guy.
I think April 15th is the tax day. Maybe I could be wrong, but you're getting to that point where we've talked about middle of the SEC, right? That's when you should have your guys in your lineup, and I think that based off of what Jay's saying, kind of reading between the lines, I think you're going to start seeing guys that he's going to say, I'm going to put these guys in that I have confidence that are going to either put together some really good at bats consistently. They don't necessarily have to get hits. But these guys are going to have the best chance of making this guy work and potentially getting on base. I think the other conversation is how do you create length and more success on the mound, right? Like offensively, yes, you want them to score more runs and do more things, which they absolutely have to do. But pitching-wise, they came in this year with a lot of depth and a lot of ability and a lot of expectations, and they've fallen short of those expectations as of now. And so who's going to go in this weekend? What's he going to do with the lineup? What's he going to do with the rotation? Who's starting Thursday? Who's starting Friday? Who's starting Saturday? Last week, I don't want to say he punted on Thursday, but he kept Holman, his ace, in the Friday night role and put Johnny Holstaff on Thursday. And so he went 1 and 2 on Friday, Saturday, kept them in that order. That didn't work out the way he probably had hoped that it would. So is he going to flip it and say, okay, Holman, you are starting Thursday. Jump, you are starting Saturday. Who's going to start? Jump, you're going to start Friday. Who's going to start Saturday? To me, in my head, I think Griffin Herring gets the start. And that's, if I had to pick a guy to be the third starter right now, he's been your best pitcher the last month. And I don't think that's debatable, to be honest with you. I mean, especially in the SEC play over the last 2 series, he has been your best starter. So I'd imagine you're going to see him a lot more, probably work his way into that rotation. But even though you've lost 4 straight, you got to get off the mat and play against the number 6 team in the country in Vandy. They're coming to Baton Rouge. You get to put yourself in a position where, all right, we're going to right the ship at home against a team you know that's good, but also a team that you know that you probably can beat, right? You're going to have to play well, but you get to play them at home. And Vandy has 6 losses on the year, I think. And in true road games, right? So not neutral site games, true road games, they are 0-3, which means that's the sweep at South Carolina that they had. Very small sample size, but South Carolina, when they swept Vandy, was kind of scuffling a little bit. They were trying to find their way, trying to figure out who they were as a team, and they go at home and sweep a top 10 team in the country. So that tells me that LSU has the ability to go ahead and win these games, put themselves in a position to win if they do the things they need to do right. Vandy's got a team that, in typical Vandy fashion, pitch it really well and swing it well, but in a different way than some may think, right? They only have 29 home runs as a team and as a lineup. They're not going to hit a ton of homers.
Yeah.
We said that about Arkansas. Arkansas swung it better than we had anticipated. Now Vandy as a team is hitting 300, and they have 6 guys, I think 6 or 7 guys in their lineup regularly hitting over 300, just not with a bunch of pop, right? Which means they're getting on base, which means they're being scrappy, and they're forcing the pitchers to throw strikes and somehow either working counts and getting on base. They're just not driving the ball out of the ballpark, which some of LSU's issues over the last couple of weeks is walks.
Yeah.
Right? And just getting behind in counts and having to come back and getting hits. And feels like that kind of plays into their game. What do you need to see? I think it's obvious. You don't need to see the pitchers get ahead in counts, but what do you want to see them attack a lineup like this? How do you want to see them attack a lineup like this?
Attack a lineup like this. So there's a lot of so when I look at this Vandy team, I look at this LSU team, offensively outside of Travinsky, outside of Tommy White, outside of Jared Jones, it's a lot of the same type of players.
Right.
Now, the Vandy squad as a whole has produced more up until this point compared to the rest of that LSU squad. But it's a lot of the same type of players. So I think this is a weekend where I think this LSU pitching staff has to get very, very, very stingy in the sense of I am going to come at you uncomfortably early and pound the strike zone. Really, really, really look at getting ahead with strike one, and then you can kind of work off of that. I think they haven't done, since they've gotten the conference play, they haven't done a very good job of that, and I think it's putting them behind the A ball a little bit. I think on the other side of it, for the offensive side of it for LSU, this has to be your statement weekend. Like, this has to be the weekend where outside of those three, outside of the three that you would probably circle, the rest of those guys have to step up and say, hey, we need to arrive, and it needs to happen now. This is a very beatable Vandy team. Like, at the end of the day, let's just be honest. They don't scare you offensively. They don't even have a single guy up there who has 5 homers. But they got 6 or 7 guys who's hitting over 300. That's in the lineup every day, right? So they'll put the ball in play, and they find ways to get hits, but they're not scary.
Right.
So if you can go up there and you show up on offense, right, and then your guys can go out there and actually challenge guys and throw in the zone and do what you need to do to expand the zone late, this is a very, very, very winnable series. And honestly, it's a series you need to have anyway.
And to your point, right? Like you need the offense to score runs, right? Like they did, that they haven't really been doing so far this year. But to your point about the pitching staff, right? They're not going to scare you offensively, Vanderbilt, that is. You need your guys to go out there and attack because their pitching staff is good.
Yeah.
Right? So they're going to do a pretty good job of limiting runs from LSU. It's going to be tougher for LSU to score runs than it would normally be on an average pitching staff. Look, their team ERA is 3.61. They have 2 starters who have pretty elite stuff. Bryce Cunningham's their ace. He's their Friday night guy, which will pitch on Thursday. Right. He's got a 2.87 ERA in basically 38 innings. He has 57 strikeouts. So he's got really good stuff. He's a big dude, 6'5", 230, right-handed pitcher. And he's going to come after him. He's got great stuff. He's got great numbers. And he's going to be able to strike guys out, right, which has been kind of an issue for LSU the last couple of weeks is them striking out too much and not being able to get on base or put the ball in play. That's followed up by Carter Holton, who's their number 2. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's got a 3.32 ERA, which in today's game with the offense, like that's really good.
Yep.
It's really good no matter what.
Yep.
Especially in today's offense. He's got 38 innings pitched, also 57 Ks. So you got 2 guys who have really good stuff and have the ability to strike you out, right? And then you got the Sunday guy or the third starter, Devin Futrell. He's the worst of the 3, and he's got a 5.5 in 30 innings, 22 strikeouts in 30 innings. He has given up the most runs. He has the highest batting average against. I think teams are hitting almost 300, if not over 300 against him. So you have that guy as the third starter, but the first 2 guys are going to give you the most issues, right? They're going to give you the most problems. And you have to, as a pitching staff for LSU, be able to combat that. You have to know, hey, I got to go out there and I got to limit the runs. I got to limit the pressure they put on us. I got to limit the amount of pitches I throw by going out there and working ahead in the count, getting these guys on their heels, not allowing them to have comfortable at-bats and be down 2-0, 3-1, and allow them to just get these cookies and get on base. So you have to be able to control that and allow your offense to scrap and claw against 2 really good starters. Mm-hmm. I think that's the key for me.
And when I say like it's time for that offense to show up, it doesn't necessarily mean that I think that they're gonna go out there Thursday and Friday and put up 8 and 9 runs. It means you have to win the battles, right? It means you have to make those 2 starters work. You have to get them out the game early. You have to get into the bullpen and scratch off whatever it is that you need to scratch off and scratch across to be able to get a W, because that's all that matters this week. Get a W. However you can actually do it, you get it this weekend, right? So you get the runs needed. That means you only need 5 and you got to keep them at 4. You need to do it. But that side needs to show up, as well as the pitching staff needs to take the competition and take the fight to these guys and say, we are here, we're in the zone, and I'm going to make it uncomfortable for you because you're not going to sit here in these 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 counts and shrink the zone and do what you want to do at the plate right now.
So I'm looking at the scores, right? And from last weekend, right? They go and they sweat Missouri.
Yeah.
And, we talk about their starters, right? Carter Holton started the second game, and Vanderbilt won 3-1. Okay? So didn't score a ton of runs, only 4 hits, right? Missouri out-hit them. Missouri had 2 errors, but Vanderbilt was able to scratch 3 across and only gave up 1. So they won 3-1, right? Obviously, Carter's their number 2, right? Then you go to the Friday night game, which was the internet here stinks. Stinks.
Just plug up to the Ethernet.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Friday night game. Vanderbilt wins 4-0. Okay? So that's 2 games, score 7 runs. It's averaging 3.5 runs a game. Gave up 1 hit to Missouri in that Friday night game. Right? So not scoring a ton against a Missouri team who is not good.
Right.
They're 10-8 overall, and they're 1-8 in conference play. And obviously don't have a ton of firepower offensively, but Vandy is not able to put a ton of runs on the board against them, right? And so I'm looking for their Sunday deal, and I can't find it. But I'm looking. I'm looking hard. Maybe their Sunday game got rained out, unless they played Thursday. And they did what LSU did, maybe.
I think that was kind of may have been across the board because of
There's 3 teams that played on Sunday, or 6 teams that played on Sunday. There's 3 series on Sunday that finished on Sunday. Yep. Okay. Wait. I think I'm confused. D1 baseball website is really making me mad.
Well, so they played March 30th, which would be a.
Oh, this is okay. They threw Grayson Carter. Actually, Grayson Carter looks like he may have forced his way into the 3rd starter role. So, Devin Futrell has 6 appearances and 6 starts. Grayson Carter has 6 appearances and 2 starts. One of those being last Thursday, and he threw really well. But in that game, to my point, Vanderbilt only scored 3 runs. So they're averaging just over 3 runs a game for those 3 series against a bad team.
Right.
My point in saying all of this is if LSU goes out there on the mound and does what they need to do and gets ahead of guys and throws strikes and doesn't give free passes and doesn't make those at-bats comfortable for their opposing team, they have the ability to limit the runs that Vanderbilt scores.
Yep.
Now, offensively, to what you said, they just need to scratch and claw and battle and do the winning things offensively, whether that means when you get on base, taking the extra base on a single to center field or taking the extra base on a dirt ball and coming up with a couple big hits with runners in scoring position and scoring some runs, especially early on, because you can put themselves in a position, your pitching staff in a position to be a lot more comfortable, and that's something they haven't done yet this year. Lloyd, you got anything you want to add?
No.
Why are you being so quiet over there?
Not. I just don't know what else to say about the baseball team in the current state it's in. Like, I don't even know what to make of, like, getting your phone taken away. Like, it feels like it's a punishment from your parent more than a coach.
It feels like, to me, it feels like right, wrong, or indifferent.
So also ask Mikie and Mitch. We try to sneak it in on Monday, but it's Wednesday. So throw some questions in the chat if you got any.
I think phone taken away to me feels like there's a lot of, I'm not sure these guys are mature enough to handle the outside noise right now, which you can look at it a million different ways, right? Like, we're going to sit here and say, well, you had a guy who hit a hanging breaking ball as a homer that kind of basically won you a championship. He's not going to have a phone, right? So he's on that same team as some of these young cats on the team, right? But you can't pick and choose who gets to do it. So it sounds to me like there's a lot of immaturity and there's a lot of growing up that needs to happen. And we kind of thought it was like just a on the field thing. But it's obviously not just a, hey, you need to grow up in baseball. It's, hey, I need you to grow up, period. I need you to grow up mentally. That way you can handle some of these situations that we're seeing kind of come up on the baseball field.
Well, here's the deal. This is Jay's first real adversity he's faced at LSU since he's been here. The first year was kind of a
throw-in.
This is your first year. We're going to give you some time to figure it out.
Right.
We made it to Super Regionals last year, but the team kind of underachieved as far as what people expected from them. So you're going to come in here, kind of give you a little, and they did well, right? They gave that first year to him. The second year, you obviously bring in two of the biggest superstars in college baseball in the portal, and you go and you win a national championship in year 2. And now LSU's back where they need to be. You're ranked number 2 in the country to start the season this year. And now you go through a 4-game losing streak. Luckily, it's early on in the year. But this is the first adversity that Jay has to face since being here, real adversity. Obviously there's some bumps in the road last year with those 2 straight series loss, in the back half of the year. But he's never lost 4 straight here. This is the first time he's lost 4 straight in his press conference or in his radio show. He said that he didn't know last time he's lost 4 straight, right? And so shit happens. In 2010, when we were coming off a national championship, we lost 7 straight.
Oh.
Right? And
got your phones taken away?
No, we got our ass chewed, but we didn't get our phones taken away. But the phones back then were The phones back then
3 with that thing.
The phones back then weren't like they are now. You know what I mean? iPhones had just come out, and so
you could put music on there.
Yeah, it wasn't like
Brick Breaker.
Well, and social media wasn't as big as it is.
And that's more of what my question is. Is that what he's doing? Is to try to maybe, I guess, kind of shield them a little bit from the Tiger droppings of the world and from the Twitter and everything?
I don't think it's from the Tiger droppings. Yeah. I think it's just from. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's part of it, but let's be honest. If you got a phone, you're probably going to see that anyway. I think he probably sees maybe guys on it during the game, on it 10 minutes before the game, on it in spots and places they shouldn't be on it, and maybe in the cage when they're supposed to be hitting, they're on the phone in between rounds. Maybe he's seeing that it's taken away from actual ball and things that they should be doing. So here, while you're here, you just won't have it. Because I think if you have it, not so much Tiger droppings. Yeah, maybe they might read that stuff, but the Twitter stuff, you can't get away from that. Not in 2024.
And to your point, right? It's he's taking it away because he feels it's a distraction because we're not around the clubhouse, right? We don't see what goes on off of the field. So maybe to your point, maybe they are focused on that, or maybe they are using that as a distraction. And here's the deal. You build a lot of the team chemistry. Well, a lot of it's built off the field. When you do some things together, you go to dinner together, you go to parties together, whatever it is. But a lot of that's also built in the locker room and in the clubhouse and in the team meeting room where you're playing ping pong, you're doing these things together, right? You're around each other all day, every day. And if everybody's on their phone and not talking to each other, that can cause some issues too, right? You don't get as close to the guys. You don't really have that, whether it's conscious or
right.
not. You don't know that you're doing it, but you're not as present with the other guys. And it's that's important. When you got no phones and you got no ability to be on your phones, the only thing you can do is hang out with the boys in the locker room, which I think in turn builds chemistry.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, look, we're not in the building, so we're just speculating.
Exactly.
We're speculating, right? But the phone thing did come up before or after the Southern game?
After
the Southern game. So if I had to guess, it probably wasn't just a Southern game thing, but there's probably a good chance that you take a couple losses. Obviously, you got swept in Arkansas. You get back on the bus, and maybe there was chatter because guys are looking at their phone. Maybe he walks on the bus, it's dark, walks in, and all he sees is lights from phones. Nobody really cares. Whether it's right or wrong or not, you just never know what he's seeing in a sense of, I'm not seeing what I need to see out of y'all maturity-wise. So here, I'm going to take something away from you because you haven't earned the ability to be able to go do this. And showing that you can do something like this and have this and be able to take care of what you need to take care of.
And maybe there was a couple isolated incidents, and he's doing this as hey, I'm not going to single anybody out, but I'm going to take this away because of that. That's happened to us in pro ball.
But the isolated incident thing too, yeah, that's probably what it is. There's probably one or two that pushed it over the edge.
That's what I mean.
But there's probably been case after case before that's been building, and now it's that's it.
And he walks in maybe
enough.
In between innings, and a guy who's not playing is maybe checking his phone. And he may have been in there checking his phone for 25 seconds, and Jay walks in right at that moment, and you're like, oh, this is not a good look.
Yeah.
And in a bad situation, I'm not saying that happened, but I've been in pro locker rooms, professional locker rooms, in the big leagues where guys, pitchers or whoever, go up in between innings, and they'll check their phone or do whatever, and a manager walks in there or a hitting coach or a pitching coach, whoever walks through, and we're not playing very well, we're on this kind of losing streak, and he sees guys that are in there on the phone, and we get blown up after the game because of that. And like, hey, no phones open an hour before the game or an hour and a half before the game, whatever that is. Like, that's professionally, right? So I can see it happening in the college world too.
Once again, it takes maturity to be able to do it. Like, I won't say any names, but I've seen players I'll never forget. My first time in AAA, I go up in between innings to use the bathroom. It's a long walk. It's up a tunnel. Got to go up there. I go up there. We had a player that was DHing who was banging and has been up and down in and out of the big leagues. He was, at the time, he was 33 with 3 kids, wife done. Like, he's matured, right? This man was sitting up there with his cleats off, feet up on this thing, playing Angry Birds. But knew when he was going to hit again, it was probably going to go out there and have 2 or 3 hits at the end of the game. Coaches don't say shit to guys like that because they're like, he gets it. He knows what he needs to do, and he does what he needs to do. He's performing, right? So when you got a team that's underperforming, and I'm not saying anybody's playing Angry Birds in between innings with their cleats off, but all right, how can I get them to focus in? Because there's too much talent on the team right now for them to be performing the way they are. And now it's like, I need you guys to grow. I need you guys to grow up, and I think that's what he's trying to promote here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, look, it could happen to where it's coincidentally they start playing very well on Thursday. The day after he says, no more cell phones. They know, whether the cell phone thing or not, they know there's a sense of urgency. You got 21 games left in the SEC, right? You haven't won a series. You're one of 3 teams in the SEC that has not won a series yet.
Yeah.
Okay? You went 1-2, 1-2, 0-3.
No.
And now you're playing Vandy at home. You have the ability to go out and win a series at home and get right before you go on the road for 2 straight weekends. And that's the big thing. You're on the road for 2 straight. You're going to Tennessee, which obviously Tennessee wants to beat you more than anything, right? They're playing good baseball. And you go on the road to Missouri. You're like, oh, well, it's at Missouri. The Missouri's not good. Yeah, sure. Missouri's the only team that beat Kentucky this year. Kentucky's 8-1 in conference. Missouri's the only team that's beaten them. So you're still going on the road to an environment that may not be as very energetic as you're normally used to. So easy to fall into kind of a lackadaisical attitude. It's SEC on the road. It's hard to do. So this weekend is such a pivotal series.
It's huge
for them.
It's huge.
Tomorrow is such a pivotal game. I don't even count the series yet. Tomorrow, because you don't want to go 5-game losing streak, because now losing is in your head, right? You're like, oh, we lost 3 straight. Now we lost to Southern. And then we come back home and, okay, we had really good practice and we still lost on Thursday. That starts to get into players' heads, and you don't want that to continue to linger. You want to stop it, nip it in the bud, win against their best pitcher on Thursday. Now, who knows? Maybe they decide to throw the guy they threw last Thursday again this Thursday, and you may not face their ace until Friday, but you got to win Thursday.
Here's your opportunity to get off the mat. Like, you just got to get off the mat. And like you said, like, tomorrow's the most important game. I'm going to say it's the most important game, but literally this series is the most important series. I'm not going to sit here and say they can't rip off some crazy win streak back half of the year. I've seen it done before. Yes, seen it done before. But are we counting on that? Are we counting on that, saying that that's the team that's going to get it going? That's the team that's going to get somewhere? I'm not.
Yeah.
So I think you can't get it done this series, you're putting yourself in a huge hole. Because if you don't get it done this series, you go to Tennessee next. Good luck. Right? Now you can go to Missouri, who, let's be honest, obviously it's an SEC team. They can beat anyone, but they're very beatable.
Yeah, right. You
So
should win that.
You win a series here, you get some momentum going. You go on the road and take a series from Tennessee, you really got some momentum going. Then you can go on the road to Missouri, where if you get that series as well, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Your season looks different. But if you lose this one at home, are you really expecting them to go on the road and beat Tennessee in a series?
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Right? And then maybe drop a game or two. You just never know what could happen.
And then you talk about, the back half of the SEC is easier. It is, but it ain't that easy, right? Like, you still got A&M in there.
You still got Auburn.
You still got Auburn. I know Auburn's not playing great, but they're
you still got Auburn. You still got Alabama. You still got A&M. Like,
Alabama's
it's not that much
ranked.
easier.
A&M is ranked top 3 in the country right now.
Yeah.
A&M's got Braden Montgomery's got 17 pumps right now. Jace Lavallette's got 13 or 14. I don't know if he hit one last night. A&M's playing some of the best baseball in the country.
Yeah.
So you have them coming here to Baton Rouge. You have Ole Miss. You end the season with Ole Miss. You have teams that are coming here that, they may not, outside of A&M, may not be, they're not as good as the other teams. No, but they're good.
I'm telling you right now that Alabama series on the road is going to be tough.
Yeah.
They are a real team. They got an outfielder that transferred over from Ole Miss who's having a great year. They got some young studs. Well, they got a young stud in the middle, another old salty vet who reminds me a lot of Taylor Dugas in the middle there as well. Mm-hmm. So they got those guys. They can really pitch it, and you got to go on the road and play them. That's not going to be a very easy series. I'm just
what's crazy? Like, they have all those guys, and they're playing well, and they still had 3 guys transfer out that were good.
They still had 3 of their top guys.
Their ace transferred.
3 of their top guys. Their best hitter transferred. They lost
wild.
their head coach.
Yeah, wild. And they're playing good baseball.
And they're still playing good baseball.
So my point in saying this is it may look easier. It doesn't mean it's easier. You got to create some momentum for it to become easier, right? Yeah. Every game's a grind. As far as tomorrow goes, I guess it depends on who's pitching. If it's their ace, who's a righty, right? Who would you want to see in the lineup?
I'm interested to see. There were some whispers that Jay was talking about how they kind of pitched off on last.
So
weekend.
it's either going to be Grayson Carter, who threw last Thursday, or their ace, and they're both righty. And so either way, go ahead, righty. Either him or Bryce Cunningham.
I was thinking from LSU's perspective, if you see Holman go because of how much importance you feel like there is on a Thursday game to get the series kind of started off on the right foot. If you see Holman go up a day and then throw on Thursday,
I think you see Holman on Thursday no matter what.
Yeah,
even if they don't throw their ace.
I think Holman's throwing Thursday.
That important.
Yeah, Holman's throwing Thursday.
Yeah,
I would be shocked if he doesn't throw Thursday.
Right. Like, I think he's going to throw on Thursday. He's going to pitch against whoever it is they decide to throw on Thursday. Like, you either throw, Bryce Cunningham or Grayson Carter, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. You're not going to match him up with the ace. You're going to match him up with whoever's throwing, right? Obviously, he didn't match up with the ace last week.
Right.
But you're not facing Hagen Smith.
But exactly. Like, if we go back to last week, I know it was a Thursday game, and we could sit here and say, he didn't want to move him up today. I'm not saying he is Paul Skeens, but he ain't very far. And to that point, I think he was probably having a better season than Paul Skeens, numbers-wise. That's a lot of reason why to say we need a win. I'm not sure it'll be here. Let's up our odds. And obviously it didn't happen on the whole weekend, but that's what I think he was doing. That's not the case this weekend. This is the weekend where it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. My ace is going to throw on Thursday. I would very, 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 very much assume that. And you go on from there. But you need that. You need him to be able to go out there, set the tone, give you 6+, maybe give you 7, maybe pitch into the 8th. Who knows? Save the pen. Do what he needs to do to get you rolling to where there is a feeling of some momentum going.
And as far as lineup goes, there's going to be a righty on the mound. So I would imagine you're going to see Brady Neal behind the plate.
Yeah. I would imagine you're going to see
Travinski's going to DH.
Larson's going to be in the lineup.
And Larson's going to be in the lineup. I would imagine Pearson's going to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have Larson and Pearson in the outfield with Bingham in center, I would imagine. Right? And then you're going to have Braswell at short. You're going to have Milam at second. You're going to have Tommy at third. And you're going to have Jared at first. Yeah. And you're going to have Travinski DHing. That's what I think the lineup's going to be. And I think it's going to be Bingham, Tommy, Travinski, Jared Jones. That order. I don't care. It's not righty, lefty. I think that's what you're doing. You put your top 4 guys.
He's done it in different ways. I think we got to get to that point where we're going to see Tommy, Travinski, Jared Jones. Tommy, Jared Jones, Travinski. However you want to put it, those 3 to me, from here on out, need to be back to back.
Yep.
And the reason I say it too, and the reason why I said the last 2 may be flipped, is because now we're gonna have to find somebody in that 6th spot who can consistently protect those.
Well, 5 spot.
5 spot.
Yeah.
Well, 5. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I said those 3 need to be back to back. That may mean you find somebody else to put in the 2 hole where you don't need to put Tommy up there. So he hasn't been doing it.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. 5 spot, 6 spot, you need to be able to find someone else who will just give you a very, very, very serviceable at bat every time they're up there, right? To where you're like, I know for sure those 3 they're protected, and that's kind of what they need right now.
Yep. And I think Milam's going to be in the 9 hole. You have the switch hitter to flip the lineup over. I think he's going to be in the 9 hole. I think Braswell in the 7 hole, 6 or 7 hole is fine. He's played fine.
Yeah.
He's overperformed. I would believe at the plate.
Yeah.
Right. It's been a solid. He's at 390 something. It's soft, but
it doesn't matter because people are
Yeah.
sitting here saying like, oh, he's a liability at the plate. Listen,
he's in 300.
go look at his career numbers. They're better than they've ever been. I don't know if y'all thought you were going to get the guy that was going to hit 350 with 15 pumps at this time. That's not him, and that's okay.
Right.
He's been better. He's been an upgrade from what he's been his entire career.
He's leveled up offensively, right? And he's been okay defensively. He hasn't been a liability defensively. So him in that 6-7 spot, I think, is fine. I think Larson at the 8 hole seems good, right? Like I think that's a good spot for him right now. Not a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
Allows him to kind of see a few at bats before he gets up there against the starter. And then in that, I guess 6th hole, 5-6 spot, depending on what the lineup looks like, you either throw Pearson up at the 2 hole or you put Pearson there in the 5-6 hole, depending on where it's at.
I'm wondering too, like if Pearson's a guy where, look, I know the kind of at bats Pearson gives you, but man, if he's got some of that protection and he's got Tommy behind him and that like the middle of that order behind him,
he's gonna get more pitches to hit.
I think he's gonna be even better.
Yeah.
I think he is a bat that I love in the middle of the lineup because he can do so much and he can help you out so much. But I think this lineup may be even better if you get him at the top and you get that kind of pressure being put on defenses where he's always on, he's giving you that bat, and then you got that kind of row of hitters right after him.
Well, then you have the ability to you can platoon him, right? Yeah. Like we say, you need to have a starting 9. Sure, you need 11, right? Because you don't have 9 guys every day that, hey, you're going to play every day. Jay doesn't believe that you have that right now.
It's hard to find any team across the country with 9 for sure.
So, like, hey, you have a righty throwing today, lefty starter.
Yeah.
You have a lefty coming in that starts, Ethan Fry, or whoever else you want to put in that right hand in that slot to platoon against them. Now you have 2 righty starters this weekend, or 2 lefty starters this weekend, depending on who's that 3rd starter. And so I think those 10 are going to be the main guys. I think that, I don't really know of anyone else that's really coming off the bench. Obviously, Milazzo is going to do his thing defensively. He's going to continue to get put in the games and play majority of the games, especially if it's close late in the games. But that lineup has got to be like aggravating as shit to pitchers.
Yeah.
Foul off pitches, foul off pitches, foul off pitches, foul off pitches. Get on base. Put the ball in play. Make them put pressure on the defense.
Yeah.
And make them make plays. I think that's the only way they can do it.
And that's where you get I would imagine that's why some people are frustrated watching this team is the way that you set up the lineup. It feels like you go through that string, and if teams can get through Tommy White, Travinski, Jones, it feels like that they have a pretty good chance to get you out of the inning without giving up any runs. So
fair assessment, yeah.
That's what it just feels like. Because you look at these other guys, I mean, I'm not saying that they're bad players, but the way that it's shaken out, like they're not getting up, whether they be up with opportunities to get a hit, it feels like the whole offense kind of is relying on 3 guys, and those guys only get, 3 at-bats a game?
Yeah.
And then if they don't
4
produce,
at-bats.
4 at-bats. If they don't produce, you saw it against Thursday against Arkansas, where you felt like you had a chance to win that game because Tommy White hits a home run, Travinski hits a home run. You're like, okay, that's where your offense is coming from, and that's all it's really been. And then you still weren't able, and that's why people were frustrated, like, oh, you should have thrown home and you had a chance to win. It's like that's just the way that LSU baseball is playing right now. They're not scratching across runs.
Right, and so they hit home runs. There's a lot of solo home runs being hit. Right, that means guys aren't getting on base. Now, Jay made a really good point. He said they said something in the coaches' meeting that's profound, right? Profound, I don't know, but
I think you're being sarcastic.
I know.
Yeah.
But whenever your best players are playing like your best players, everything looks better, right? Which is in any sport, in any game, on any team. If your best players aren't doing what they need to do, the team is not going to be as good as they should be.
Right.
Like, they're your best players for a reason, and so once those guys really start to play well again, you're going to see this lineup look differently. And it's just it's unfortunate that it's happened early on in the season. Or fortunate.
Yeah.
Or fortunate, right? Like, hey, nobody's playing lights out right now.
Well, I'll say this. It's unfortunate only in the sense that
You're 2-7.
And why are you 2-7? Because the bad play started at the beginning of conference. So it's unfortunate at this time of the season because let's say if they started off conference 5-1 and then had this skid, you wouldn't be thinking about it that way you think because you'd be like, oh, I've seen him good. I've seen the good part of him. I know it's there. Right now you're like, oh, I don't know if they got it against competition.
And let's say they started off 4-5 or 5-4, right? Kind of middle of the pack. Oh, we're not playing terrible. We're not playing great. And then they hit the skid and they go through this. That's tough, too, because now you don't have as much time to come out of it. So I say fortunate. It's unfortunate because it doesn't look great right now, but also fortunate because you have 21 SEC games to kind of start playing well, right? And start letting your best players play and be your best players. And so that's what needs to happen.
I would agree to an extent. I mean, but also in the same vein.
No, you don't want to do it.
No, but you're talking about like, if it's going to happen, it's better to happen now. But I think that time has run out.
No, for sure.
Like, all right, you played bad.
Well, yeah. I think that's what we're saying. Like this weekend, this weekend matters a lot because there is a such thing as, hey, you get so far behind the 8 ball, there really isn't any coming back sometimes, and you don't want to put yourself in that position, and you're getting dangerous, really close to being in that position.
Well, and you start looking at the team like maybe we're not very good. Like if you start, like just as the locker room as a whole, where they're like, maybe this is who we are.
It's a confidence thing, and
absolutely.
I don't think that they think, oh, this is who we are. But I also think that like when you keep losing games like this, and look, last weekend they didn't play awful. You know what I mean? Like now they didn't play great against Southern. They played bad. That game should never be the way that game happened.
Yeah.
But Arkansas, they were in all 3 games. They played really well. I think every game was decided by 1 or 2 runs. 3 runs on the first game. But that was up until the 8th inning. It was a 1-run game.
Yeah.
Okay? And they had the ability they scored a run in the 9th. Saturday game or second game, they went into extra innings. And then Sunday game, they had a 4-1 lead, ended up losing 7-5. So their games were close. Now, they didn't make the play that they needed to make, the 1 or 2 plays that it always comes down to. They didn't make it. It went the other way, right? And so, their record could easily be 5-4 in the SEC if the winning plays go the opposite direction. If they force that to happen, and so they're not that far off. But the longer this thing takes to right, the longer this ship takes to right, the more these guys forget how to win. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you think, and like. That's not a slight to them. That's just the common nature of baseball and sports.
I'm not sure.
You go through it, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot what the winning, like how to win a baseball game, right? That means a lot.
Well, you get into this mode where you get into close games, these are the ones that we haven't been able to win. Because, like you said, you can look at the conference schedule. You can look at 2 extra inning games that you very easily could have won. One against a Florida team that's, top 3 in the country, then the number 1 team in the country, where, like you said, you were in, well, I guess 5 of those 6 games you got beat up pretty good. Was it the last game against Florida?
Last game against Florida and last game against Mississippi State, but 5 of the 6 games over the last 2 weekends you're in.
You're in it. That's what I'm saying. But I think that's where you would get kind of that feeling of, okay, we're in every game, but then when it gets to the 7th, 8th, and 9th, like something always happens.
So he mentions the team may have forgot how to win. I don't actually think they know how to win yet. And I know people are going to sit here and say, oh, well, they just won a national. Yeah, they still have Tommy. Yeah, they still have Travinsky. Yeah, they still have Pearson. But guess what? Milam's never played on this level before. Who else has never played? Kling hasn't played on this level before. There's a lot of guys that have to get put into this. There's a lot of guys on the mound that are not used to playing in this situation at this level. And I think understanding that and getting to that side of it and learning how to win, right? Like this reminds me talent-wise, what you got talent-wise. It reminds me a lot of Jay's first year. Mm-hmm. There's talent there. They didn't have the same talent on the mound, but there's talent there. There's good players there. You didn't know how to get over the hump and learn how to win and know how to win games. And then when they did, year 2 happens. You inserted a couple other important pieces, brought guys in here who were high character, high performers, right? And you knew how to win. This team is, I think, learning how to win right now because they're a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys to this situation, and it's taken a little time in the SEC, but you're running out of that time.
Flip it to Arkansas. Arkansas is the number 1 team in the country. Yeah. I believe they're like 12-2 or something crazy in 1 or 2 run games. That's the difference, right? Like, we don't have that record in the 1 or 2 run games. They do. And they're figuring out ways to win those games. We haven't figured that out yet. I think that they will. I'm not. If I didn't think this team had talent, and I didn't think that they were good or capable, then I'd be like, all right, this is who they are. This is not who they are. Yeah. They're a good team, and they're a team that's going to win some games. They just have to feel that, and they have to do it a couple times so that they learn how to do it.
I've said it all along. I still believe that that's what this team is this team's going to have to come on strong in the second half of the year. Now, did I expect them to be sitting here 2-7, looking at that right in the eye? No. I thought they'd be, I won't say more competitive, but I thought they would have one more in this situation to put themselves in a better spot to, quote-unquote, make the run like Mikey's talked about, right? I think that this team will get better. I think that this team will make a run. I think that this team will be very competitive towards the end of the season. You just don't want it to be to where you're not in a realistic spot to actually make real noise. That's what you don't want.
And I think that's where a lot of this gets misconstrued is because people have names that they recognize from last year's team, but you don't really, when you go through the roster, especially,
it's not the same team.
It's not even close, and it's a lot of guys, like you said, that haven't been in the spot before. Yeah. Even you can go across the infield, let's do an exercise. Like Guidry, been there before. Would you say? And that's a sprinkle of being there before. We came on late last year. Milam's never been in the spot. Milazzo doesn't play enough to where you would really say he's a difference maker. Justin Lower transferred, never been here before.
And you can go back to Milazzo as well. As much of a key piece that he was at the end of last year, he didn't play a ton of early in the year. So it's not like there's that much experience to it, right?
And you could say the same thing for Dravinsky. I know he was a big piece of the team,
but
he
could
didn't.
say the same thing for Bear Jones.
Yeah.
There's one guy in that lineup, not even Pearson. There's one guy in that lineup that was plugged and played pretty much every time they lined it up last year. That's it. There was guys that got spots. There's guys that had moments. There's guys that had a little bit of a stretch. There's one guy that was in that lineup religiously last year. Those other guys are having to learn how to do it right now.
Yeah.
And that really is the best. That's probably the most, I guess that's actually an optimistic way to look at it, is a lot of these guys, 8 of your 9 haven't been here before. And so they're learning, like you said, they're learning how to win in a situation where you've been thrust into it a little bit. I know you practice all you want, but it gets different, and you see it being different in conference play. The Texas series or the Texas game was your first, I would say, test, and you passed that test. But then after that, you have a bunch of guys that you're still trying to figure out where to put them and where to play them.
So I read something that they have 3 wins this year over major power conference teams. LSU does.
That's not great.
That's not what you want. That's not really how you draw it up. Every weekend when in the SEC, you're playing against future major leaguers, right? This weekend's no different. Cunningham, who we've talked about, their ace, he is out of the top 100 prospects in the draft. He is number 16. For reference, Tommy White is behind him at number 18, right? Holman not behind him at number 23. So you have 2 guys that are going to go up this weekend, one for LSU pitching-wise and one for Vanderbilt that are both potential first-rounders. Their next guy, Holton, their other pitcher that's good, he's the 44th overall prospect in the draft. And that, he can pitch his way into the first round. So my point in saying that is every weekend you're going up against future first-rounders, potential big leaguers every single weekend. And so the little things matter in the games, and you got some things that you just got to figure out how to do. You have to understand, hey, I made an error, it's okay. A 3-pitch strikeout, that's okay. No. Everything matters, and everything adds up to become bigger things and helps win games. And so, I'm hoping this weekend, wow. 2025 draft. Wow, they have Brady Neal at 77 in the 2025 draft. They have Chase Shores at 9. He's still rehabbing. That'd be nice.
Love to see that.
That'd be nice.
On the other side of the coin, you got Jaden Newt possibly.
Yep, that's a big. That'd be a big lift. That's another arm that you have that you can count on. That, he's got good stuff. But that's another guy doesn't have a lot of experience. He hasn't pitched yet.
Yep.
He's been hurt. So let's temper our expectations on him coming in. Yeah, he's talented. Yeah, he's got the ability to help us, but he hasn't thrown an inning yet in college baseball. So let's tranquilo on that. You know what that means, Lloyd?
Chill.
Yeah. But look, it's a tough conference. I think LSU is going to have to obviously make some adjustments. And this weekend's a pretty good weekend for you to start figuring out how to win. Do we have any questions? Ask Mikie and Mitch. If we do not, that's fine, but
We do.
love that. I'm glad you are participating. I know the women's basketball game was on Monday. That's why nobody was really paying attention.
Yeah. Hold on, I had one in the chat that was not a question, but it was a response from, I guess, what show was that? I think Monday's show? Mato Hota. Just to follow up to Friday's show, tell J. Mitch that, yes, there is someone in Montana watching. Started watching about a year ago. Great show. Great show,
Hey,
guys.
yo.
You guys keep it real.
My guy, yeah.
Let's go.
Look at
that.
Mr.
Montana.
Worldwide. That's right.
Montana.
Montana.
Wow. I like me some bison burgers.
Welcome. I do. What was the place?
Montana's Grill.
Montana's Grill. No.
Yeah, no, Montana. I think it is. No, it's something Montana though.
It was in Georgia. The chain.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. Very good.
Is it
He's probably
Montana's
like,
Grill?
if he's watching right now, he's probably like, that shit's not great. It's good.
First one up, Kenneth Bilala.
Ted Montana. No, Ted's Montana Grill.
Oh, y'all can't
That's
see
it.
There
That's
is.
it.
Yep, told you.
I can't see it because the monitor does
Ted's.
not work. Ted's.
There you go.
From Kenneth, KB. Ask
up?
Eminem, what the hell is going on with the team?
Okay, well, we already answered. I think we answered that one. I mean, I can't. I think
Kenneth is like, I don't. Damn, what y'all saying? What's
Yeah,
going
what
on with
the
the
hell
team
is
right now?
give me an answer.
Sorry, that's the best question.
Are we gonna win or are we not?
And then he goes on to say, it feels like they start decent and the first 3 to 4 innings and fall flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The mark of a not very experienced team right now, or quote unquote not very good team right now, is not being able to play a complete 9. They're not playing a full 9 right now. 27 outs and 27 outs is not matching up for them right now. Once that's where they got to get to be a good team.
And that's part of learning how to win.
It's part of learning how to win.
All right, next one up from Paul Zarang. Ask Mikie Mitch, how much does having 3 pitching coaches in 3 years play into the pitching woes we are seeing this year?
I'll be honest with you, I would say a ton, but look at the guys who's gotten the ball a lot this year. They were not here last year with the pitching coach that was here last year. So I would say a ton, but I don't think it's playing that much into the role of how this team's performing right now.
I agree. Look, if some of the
And-
guys, and like maybe with Thatcher, you haven't had it. You started feeling
Right.
comfortable maybe with one guy last year, and now you get a new guy. But some guys maybe, but as a whole, I think that you had enough time to understand what this guy or your new pitching coach brings to the table, and enough time to build a
And he's got such a
relationship
great
with him.
track record, too. It's hard to believe that he would come in and just can't
Yeah.
relate to these guys. And he's got a great track record, but he's also been a good number of places. So, he's been very, very, very adaptable. So it's hard to believe that he wouldn't be able to get through to this many guys, if you will.
All right. Let me get to the next one up here. Sorry. Go to the queue. Send Charles Grosh. Who do you think who will be the true closer for LSU?
I don't think you're gonna have one of those. Not right now. I mean, they haven't used Guidry in that role. They've used him as the get out of trouble guy.
Right.
I mean, I'd like for Thatcher to be that guy, but that's another thing. You gotta have someone needs to step up out the bullpen and be your go-to, and we don't have that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'd like to see more Moffitt. I know he needs to throw strikes, but go out there and do it.
I think, yeah, I agree.
Cam Johnson.
I think the best way this is going to go, I don't really know if they're going to have a true closer, but I do think this team will perform better if you can start getting extended outings out of Thatcher, whether it comes in the 4th through some part of the 4th through the 7th or 8th with Thatcher. I think the team becomes better when he can start giving you extended outings and not giving up that one big inning. So could you see him closing out games by throwing 2 to 3 plus innings? Yeah. Right. I think Gavin's going to find his groove back sometime soon, and he's going to once again be able to kind of push himself to the back of the bullpen and do some stuff. But I don't really think that it's a one guy that is going to roll with. There's a lot of arms here and a lot of guys who understand that they can do that. I think you're going to see a lot of that.
So, this is not answering his question. This is a side note. I'm reading these quotes from Corbin, Tim Corbin. Their big question mark, obviously, is their bats, right? They struggled last weekend. they're putting an emphasis on swinging the bat and scoring more runs, obviously. And Corbin's quote is, "We're putting the bats down tomorrow. Nobody's swinging anything. Everybody's taking a day off." He said, "You can feel they're pressing a little bit, so we've put it down for a day and get back." He said it's not going to last forever. It just won't, right? Which I believe that, right? And sometimes not doing anything is the best thing you can do, right? LSU obviously not really in that same type of situation because they're not winning games and not hitting, right? Vanderbilt has the luxury of, hey, we're not swinging it very well, but we're not giving up runs. But I thought that was pretty interesting because different coaches have different ways of going about some of these things, and you just have to read your team. Okay, sorry. Next question.
Next question. Coming from Fonz.
There he is.
Our guy said, "What's up, shitbags?" Asking him, would y'all want to play on a team of guys who hit home runs 10% of the time, or a team that gets base hits 40% of the time?
Give me 40%.
40% of the time.
40%. That means you're passing the torch a very good amount. You're putting a lot of pressure on them. They're probably having to throw a lot of pitchers, so you're getting the starters, the good guys, out of there quicker. Give me 40%.
Yep, agreed.
A lot of lineup talk. If you want to hear some of their suggestions.
Sure.
Sure. Let's get to it. Here we go. Parker G. He says, "What about Pearson at leadoff and Tommy at 2?"
I mean, that's a possibility too. But Bingham has been your hottest hitter lately. So where do you put Bingham? Put him at 5? Or do you want him at the top of the lineup to get on base for the guys behind him? I don't know. I think putting Bingham leadoff and Pearson 2-hole and Tommy 3-hole at least gives Pearson an opportunity to have 2 guys above him and below him, a guy ahead of him and a guy behind him that's swinging the bat pretty well, that he may get more pitches to hit and get him going.
Yeah, I think just my personal opinion, I think the best way this lineup could be constructed is if you were going to go, because of your big 3 all being righties, right? I think if you can go righty leadoff, lefty in the 2, and or switch, but most likely lefty in the 2, then you got those 3 righties in a row. And then I think if you can get somebody like Milam in the 9, who's a switch guy, that's why I said or switch. But if Milam's in the 9, it can kind of also offset that. Hey, if we're facing a righty, then we go 9 with a lefty, 1 with a righty, 2 with a lefty, 3, 4, 5 with righties. So it doesn't allow them to kind of play matchup games at the end of a game with the pen. I think that would be best, but that means somebody's got to step up and start giving you consistent at bats. A lefty's got to step up to start giving you consistent at bats in that 2 spot.
Yep, agreed.
A lot of people are asking. Oh, so the lineup that he put out was Parker G, Pearson, White, Travinsky, Larson, Bear, Bingham, Braswell, Milazzo, Milam. That was just his suggestion. A lot of Kling talk in the chat. Thoughts on when you would see him back in the lineup because of how well he's been able to play defensively, or is the offensive woes so much to a degree that you can't really? Well,
right now you have nobody picking up the slack for those offensive woes. If the lineup was hitting well, then you can kind of hide those offensive problems. I think you're going to see him at end of games in the outfield as a defensive replacement. I think I don't know. Maybe he's practiced and maybe figure something out of practice that Jay feels like he's ready to go back in there. But until he shows that, I think you're going to see him on the bench and just trying to figure it out without having to figure it out in the game.
Yeah, he's going to play this weekend. I'm not quite sure he'll get a start this weekend. He's going to play this weekend. But I do think the closer you can get that skill set, that ability going and rolling, is the better this team will be, and it'll be a better team quicker if he can get to that spot. I'm just not exactly sure how much run he'll get right now. Right? There's another young stud who's ready to come up and ready to play. He's gotten a chance to play over the last weekend as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting starts this weekend over Kling.
Yep.
All right. Next one up from Paul Zerang. Zerang asks, can someone tell me what Jay sees in Will Homers? I trust Jay with the team emphatically, but what am I missing with Homers? Is there something that you see with Will that you think?
Homers hasn't thrown bad.
I don't think so either.
I think Homers he's in the role that he needs to be. Hey, you're gonna be we're kind of getting this thing out of the way. We're not throwing a lot of strikes. He's gonna come in. He's a strike thrower. He's kind of got a funky delivery. He's He's not a guy you want to throw for a ton of innings in a game, but he's a guy that can go get you some outs and throw you some innings.
I can tell you what he sees in him. What he sees in him this year over any other years the kid's fought, right? He's been here for a while. He knows the program. He knows Jay. He knows how the program was before.
Respect in the locker room.
He's a Louisiana kid. He's got respect in the locker room. And it probably doesn't hurt that he still has a .93 on the year through almost 10 innings pitched.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to need some outs, I'm not exactly sure what his top inability is, but I can throw him out there and he's going to go and challenge someone. And that's what he's done this year.
Yep.
All right, a couple that we have on Twitter. Hold on. Ask Mikie Mitch. This is from Fonz. He's everywhere. Does being a prior player help you not feel like this year is a total disappointment?
Well, I mean, you still got a long way to go in the year. So you can't call the year a disappointment until it's over with, right? Have they underachieved so far? Yes. But, yeah, I think being a former player and going through some of these ups and downs helps put it in perspective and allows us to see the whole picture as opposed to just seeing, oh, this is what's going on right now. They're not playing great. I think that's evident. I think everybody knows that. But I also, as former players, we also see, okay, there's ways out of this thing. There's ways to get better, and it's not what you are through your first 30 games of the season isn't what you're going to be for the next 26 games of the season. So, yeah, I do think that.
Give me that question again.
Does being a former player help you not feel like this year is a disappointment?
Yeah, man. I mean, it definitely does. Because I also saw how bad it could be. And then all of a sudden it turns around and it's great, right? And it's we did that thing, and I've been through something like that. I've seen ourselves sitting at 11th place out of 12 teams with literally 16 SEC games left, 4 weekends left, and finish the SEC in second place. So I've seen it bad, right? It's not over, and you're never really out of until the schedule's out of. As weird and as cliche as that may sound, it's actually it's a true
Here's
saying.
the beauty of it. 12 of 14 teams make a tournament.
Yeah.
Once you get into postseason baseball, it's a whole different season, right? Ole Miss showed you that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we'll have an answer to this one, but it is a question that I think everybody has probably been wanting to ask at one time or another. Why haven't we, from J. Lee Rhett 1 at Jeff, why haven't we seen Cade Woods at all this season? Injury and effectiveness. I think he's made one appearance.
he has 1 inning pitch. So I don't know. I don't think that you can look at 1 inning and say it's ineffective. I think that's injury. I don't know for a fact, but I would imagine that something's going on. Either
I would imagine that either I would imagine it's either probably something injury-wise or probably something character-wise that Jay doesn't love, because there's been enough inconsistency on the mound to say, I need somebody to grab this ball and go get me some outs.
Yeah,
and so if they haven't gone to him, there has to be something other than ineffectiveness.
Yeah, it's ineffective. There's not enough innings to,
Right.
be called ineffective.
Ask him no from Parker G. Do y'all expect Sammy Dutton to have a bigger role in the coming weekends? He has impressed me before SEC play started, but I feel like he hasn't pitched in an SEC game.
100%. I think he was one that was kind of a surprise, but we kind of been hearing a little bit before the season started about him. I think if he's actually able to get out there and start contributing again, it's going to help that bullpen out a lot, because he was throwing well early in the year, and we'd like to see that kind of come back.
And I don't know. Maybe he got banged up too. I don't know, because
We haven't been able to hear much about his status or where he's at.
Look, we've kind of given Jay some space. I think
Big morning
deservedly so. Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, he's got. I mean, schedule hasn't really been in our favor as a show, but he's going through some things, and I don't know. It seems like Dutton has been banged up, because from everything Jay has talked about and the guys that came on the show has talked about, guys we've talked to, he's been lights out. He's been one of those guys that has been very effective when in the rotation or in the pitching mix, and he hasn't been there lately. So I would imagine he's been banged up. I don't know. This is all assumptions. I don't know anything, but that's what it feels like.
Similar question for, and you mentioned this a little bit at the top of the show, but similar for Herring. Do you expect him to be utilized as a starter on a Sunday, or is his role in the bullpen more critical?
I think that you're going to see him as that third starter role, and I understand the bullpen thing, right? But you also don't have anybody to throw in that number 3 role right now. So I like to see him at least have an opportunity to start. We don't know what he's like as a starter. We know what he's been like coming out the bullpen for multiple innings. I would like to see him as a starter and see what he can do.
I would love to see him out of the pen, but I think he's going to get the starting opportunity simply because, like he said, there hasn't been a third starter, and you've moved Thatcher out of that spot, and you've still pitched Cade Anderson through in the midweek games. So he's obviously not, in my opinion, going to be the one that's in line to start on Sunday. So I would imagine it may be Griffin,
And you got a lot of lefties up the pen anyway,
Yeah.
right? So, maybe you add another lefty in the rotation and see what you can get because you haven't had someone step up as that number 3 starter yet.
Yeah.
His pitching high on the year is 4.2 innings pitched.
Yeah, that's starter stuff. He's got the ability to he came here as a starter, right? He didn't come here as a bullpen guy, so he's got the ability to do that.
All right.
Is that it?
No, next one up.
Okay.
From Ashton Roberts. What in the world is what in the world is up with Paxton Kling? He has all the potential in the world.
Yeah,
He's in his rut. He's in a rut right now. He's probably beating himself up about it. He's probably overanalyzing. And the thing about baseball is crazy because you're never really as good as you think you are, and you're never really even doing as bad as you think you are. And it's always a very small sample that could put you where you need to be and kind of propel you to go where you need to go. And I think when he can kind of get there mentally and kind of get a feel for that and start playing with that confidence again, that's when things turn around for him.
Here's the deal, man. No matter how good of an athlete you are and how talented you are, at the end of the day, you still are a human being, right? So, you still have, when you struggle the way, he's been struggling, the way we've all struggled, doubts start to creep in your mind, right? He's also trying to replace one of the greatest players to come through LSU and Dylan Cruz. And they're talking about how talented Kling, which he is, but Dylan Cruz is leaving after doing what he's did here. That's more pressure, right? I got to fill these shoes, right? And that's whether he admits that or not, that's subconsciously in the back of his head, I got to do this. He also knows he's draft eligible, right? All of these things, when you start struggling, start to creep into your mind. I'm not performing the way I know I'm capable of. I'm not performing the way that Jay knows I'm capable of, so that's hurting my draft stock. I'm not playing, the fans aren't happy with the way I'm playing. All of that starts to build up because of the struggles, and that's just human nature of it. So I think a lot of that mental stuff is kind of getting in the way, and that is something that he's going to be better for in the long run, right? You have to learn how to get through these types of situations. You have to learn mentally what you need to do to make your head right. Right? I've been in bad stretches. You've been in bad stretches. It is the hardest thing to do in baseball. That's what makes baseball so hard. It's trying to figure. You've been in bad stretches. It's the hardest thing to do is try to get the mental side of baseball right whenever you're struggling.
When you start struggling, dude, you put the season, you put the month, you put the week, you put the at bat, you put the game, everything. You put everything in fast forward, and you don't want to stick to what the process is of the work that you actually do. It's I go do the work, I feel great. First at bat, he deals, I ground out, I'm pissed. I'm 0 for 1. Damn, I didn't start where I wanted to start. So then now you start pressing that next at bat instead of just sticking to what you do. So it becomes a whole big snowball of those things instead of just being able to be. When you see guys hitting 330, they don't care if they're 0 for 1 to start. I'm going to get another hit. It's no big deal. I got one coming.
Yep.
When you're struggling, you don't feel it. You don't see it that way. So
when you're struggling, you feel like every at bat's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded, down 3. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And every at bat, you're trying to hit the grand slam.
Yeah.
Even with nobody on base.
And that's what we were talking about whenever, it kind of rains it pours. Whenever Kling has come up, it always feels like it's in crucial situations where it's 2 outs, second and third in a 1-run game where it's if I'm already not – I don't feel like myself, and I'm already putting a lot of pressure on myself. Now you're in a huge spot in the game where you need to perform, and then everything gets magnified around you.
Yep.
We have Uno Mosh.
Okay.
You know what that means?
Uno Mas. One more.
Oh, I thought that was a mosh pit.
Yeah.
No.
Uno Mas.
Well, have you ever seen Shanghai Noon?
Yeah.
In the bathtub?
Got it.
Uno Mosh?
Got it.
Ask him again, with the amount of arms we have, do you think, other than Holman, Jay will have a 2 to 3 inning pitch limit to keep hitters from being able to get to them?
Not for everybody. It's your starter, your starter. I don't think you have the ability. Like, the bullpen hasn't done enough to give you confidence in saying that, hey, everybody's going to throw 2 to 3 innings. At least I don't think so.
Tell you what, if that's your game plan, you're not going to be playing very deep.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to be playing very deep into the season.
No.
That can't be the game plan.
No.
I need guys that's going to start. I need guys that's going to go give me quality starts and get deep into the game and hand the ball over to my bullpen in the game or with the lead.
You may be able to do that for one start every now and then.
Yeah.
You can't do that consistently.
You can't do that consistently.
And question from me.
Okay.
Do you expect to see a bigger role for Cam Johnson after what he did over the weekend?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
That's a great wild card.
Yeah.
Because that's another arm that if it performs to its potential, it's going to give you a lot of high leverage, high energy, high performance situations that you need out of another spot in that pen. So that's a very, very good question, and I think none of us really know the answer to it because we want to see. Well, okay, we saw where he put him in the game. What's he going to do this week?
Yep. Right.
And what's he going to do when he gets that opportunity this week?
Yep.
So yeah, that's another wild card.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm with you. I think it is one of those things that I'm interested to see how he puts, like, what role he uses him in this week. I think you're going to see him this weekend. In what role, I don't know. And if he goes out there and has another a good outing, or has a good outing. So I don't want to call the last one a really good outing. He walked 2 guys, walked a guy in, but came up with a really big pitch in a really big situation. We haven't seen him since. So, let's see if he builds on that. And if he does, I think that's a really good sign for LSU.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all you got from Ask Mikie Mitch, brought to you by our friends at Heineken.
They said that y'all should get Lloyd new headphones. He looks goofy.
Did we order some?
I thought you did.
Did we not order some? Actually, that's a good point. I thought we did, didn't I?
I've been waiting on him because I do feel like I look like
I didn't wear any out about the headphones, bro.
I look like I'm going to the moon in the 70s.
I really thought I did order them. Let's see.
Oh man,
My orders.
That's great.
I did.
Goofy
They were delivered
to your home in Tampa.
March 26th.
Oh, Lord. Where?
Really been on top of it over there at the Mahtook residence, huh?
She probably took them to get ready for this, the solar eclipse. It's in the safety package.
Says
now.
it was the package delivered March 26th. So I gotta maybe somewhere in the house. I didn't even know.
I would like to get those.
I would like to. I mean, I'm glad you reminded me. I'll check when I get home today.
Cool.
Check when I get home today. I'm sorry. I
It's okay.
apologize.
And then same guy, M. Sandoz, said it's Ted Montana's girl.
Ted Montana. Love
There it
Ted
is.
Montana. Every
I
time
told
we
you it
go
was
play,
Montana's girl. I knew it. I just didn't know it was Ted.
every time we would go to Gwinnett, the hotel was in walking distance from all those restaurants. We always walk to Ted's Montana. That's AAA for the Braves.
Yes, sir.
Said get the bison.
The
Don't
bison.
get the
The
buffalo.
bison is no.
The bison burger's fire. Fire. How about in some football news? How about Stephon Texans Super Bowl favorites? Maybe.
Oh, they're acting like it, huh?
Boy, they are making some moves.
Squad together over there right now.
They are making some moves. They show you how much confidence they got in CJ.
I think
Stroud.
everybody's going to be on the Texans train right now. Everybody's going to
No
want
doubt.
a piece of that.
No doubt, dude. That's impressive.
And it wasn't that bad. Like, you didn't have to give up a whole lot to get
You gave him a second rounder, but you got
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then you got a 4th and a 5th also.
Yeah, I didn't look at the exact.
I would imagine that that Keenan Allen deal kind of screwed up the market for someone like for Diggs because
Yeah.
they got a 4th. I know he's a little bit older, but they only got a 4th rounder for him, so you can't go ask for a first for a receiver that's probably approaching 30, right?
Hey, you're gonna Lloyd, you're gonna put some prop bets in before they cancel him?
Can you believe that?
I mean, I can.
I know, me too.
Makes sense.
It's actually crazy that we were ever allowed to do it.
Right.
But
Or did you throw some in there since they did it? Since you're the only guy on the show really that's betting right now.
I think I have until August 1st.
I know.
I wonder if they're going to take the lines down, though.
That's what I mean, though. That's what I mean.
Because the props won't even be up yet. But that was my mistake of the day.
Oh, not bad.
It's okay.
Not bad.
Pisses me off.
There's another mistake. They go look at the UConn stuff. NCAA right at it again.
What did they do?
UConn's stuck. They can't get to where they need to get to.
Basketball?
Mm-hmm. They can't get to Phoenix.
UConn men's basketball is stuck in Connecticut without playing for fun. What? How does that happen?
NCAA is in charge of travel in the postseason.
They're throwing everything at the old UConn Huskies, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, Hurley's been complaining the entire tournament, saying they got a bad seed, a bad draw, we're not on the right TV station.
I mean, whatever. They win by 30 points a game, whatever. But
now if they can't get to the
this
arena,
is tough. You can't get to where you're going, and they messed up the 3-point line for the women's game. Really haven't done great.
How did they mess up the 3-point line?
The women's 3-point line was too short.
Oh.
They weren't the same. You didn't see that whole deal? In the Sweet 16 game, I guess it was USC maybe or someone else, one side of the court's 3-point line was not the same as the other side of the court's 3-point line. Both teams agreed to play it anyway.
Yeah.
They had to fix it.
They're trying to give Caitlin Clark the benefit of the doubt.
That wasn't Caitlin Clark that played.
It
It don't matter. Caitlin Clark don't shoot from right
the
behind the
logo.
She shoots from half court anyway.
She couldn't have played.
What a performance she had.
Yeah, you really didn't need to give up 41. You were talking about it earlier. I think
They guarded her tight, man. I mean, they really did.
they were going under screens at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
which is
but
not
then
ideal.
she got hot and they couldn't make the adjustment to it. I mean, even if they're in her face, she was making it.
Yeah, you got the reverse MJ shrug from Haley Van Lith.
And Angel Reese.
Yeah, wasn't great.
Nope.
And you talked about their Iowa supporting cast. I think in their Sweet 16 game, Caitlin Clark had 32 and the team scored 64. So they got a little bit better performance from everybody else.
Not much. They scored 97 and she scored 41. She
Yeah.
almost scored, you know what I mean? Like,
it's insane.
crazy. Almost 50% of their points are coming from her. It's a lot of pressure to be put on her, but she's good.
She likes that.
She's very good.
Boys, interested to see Paige Becker's take on
the unicorn. There's about to be a unicorn back in the NFL. We haven't seen one of these since he's maybe in the Hall of Fame. Just because you didn't think you were going to see one again. Jason Sehorn.
Oh.
Another white cornerback is making his way to the NFL.
Cooper
DeJean.
Yeah.
Or however they say it. Down here it's DeJean.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a first rounder. White cornerback, coach.
Supposed to be the guy.
How wild is
I can't
that?
wait to see it.
From Iowa, of all places.
Hey, the kid's a good ball player, too.
Great
and
ball
he's
player.
A great athlete,
And he
too.
flies.
He's a really good athlete.
Now,
Bill Belichick has got to be kicking
with
himself
that
right
said,
now.
The Kelsey brothers said that's not a position for. So I'm going to go with the Kelsey brothers. That's just.
With that said, you are going to, and I imagine you're probably getting that right now from the evaluators. Hey, he's probably got tight hips. Looks like he'll be a safety in the NFL. Like that's
Can
what
he tackle?
Can he keep up with the receivers? That is probably the conversations. Now, his 40 times are elite. He was very good in college. I've seen some things where, hey, he's not going to be able to play press man coverage. He's going to have to play more in his own thing, like they were saying about Richard Sherman. Like, those things are going to come out.
You're gonna have to beat some stereotypes.
But this guy is a stud athlete, and he is a first time we've had. He's gonna be a first rounder.
Who's we?
We, as in the football population, the fans of football,
The Caucasians.
the fans of football.
We as in the
Whites.
The whites. You know how many Cooper DeJean jerseys there are going to be at fraternities everywhere?
God.
I mean, I pulled up ESPN. He's got an article on ESPN football about him. But hey, shout out to Cooper, man. I mean, that's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen one since
It's been a while.
since Jason Sehorn. He was
Been a
great.
while.
Played
He
for
was
the
really
Giants.
good. Yeah.
Some other teams, but
Played for the Seahawks.
You remember him as a Giant.
a
though.
Giant.
He was a
He
Giant.
was made his name as a Giant.
Yeah.
So you had Corey Webster on that team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was it. He was at the beginning of Corey. Yeah.
Yep. There's something else I saw on here that I wanted to talk about.
I think Corey Webster caught Brett Favre's last pass as a Packer. Picked him off for the playoff game.
I don't know. Corey was something
Was
else
the-
in purple and gold, boy.
was the year.
A running back.
Did Brett play the year after the Saints beat him? Oh, as a Packer, you said.
Yes.
As a Packer, you
Packer,
said.
yeah.
I thought you meant like in his career. Yeah.
No, I'm sure it was an interception, though.
That's what I mean. His last pass, right? As a Viking, was an interception
I
to the
think
Saints.
that's what I'm saying. I think that's the way he goes out the way he came in.
And I respect it. LSU's on TV tomorrow. ESPN2 and SC Network on Friday.
But rather them not be.
No, I need them to be. I like that. You have imagine Kyle Peterson's going to be there.
Kyle Peterson in the booth is awesome.
He just doesn't give a shit.
He does not give
He's
one
great.
fuck.
I like his voice, good time. But
They're goofing around in there.
said a couple things.
The KKK.
I didn't see that.
That was brutal.
I hear
I
that.
didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
That's what I forget who's in the booth.
Did he mean
with
to do
them.
it that way? I don't think he meant
No,
to do it
but
that
they
way.
caught him and they're like, let's add another one real quick before we have to say that again.
Yeah, that was an accident. And they talked about what there was a movie. It was a
Puff the Magic
Puff
Dragon.
the Magic Dragon.
I think he is on edibles.
And then he talked about a hit and run with 2 outs.
He did.
Yeah.
2 strikes.
That was more of a run and hit.
2 strikes too.
Yeah, there's 2 strikes. Like, hey, this guy's running. If it's in the zone, swing. If it's not in the zone, don't swing, kind of thing. But he's good. I like listening to KP.
I do too.
He's been a staple in college baseball. I think he's
no.
good
If
too.
maybe Major League Baseball started, it's not gonna be Ben. I don't think.
No, he's been doing the Orioles games.
Yeah, he's
but,
when baseball starts, he's more Royals. Big League
and I
Baseball.
like KP. I didn't know he did it this early.
Well, I think it's
Yeah,
growing.
he does. Yeah.
When they're on national TV, he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
He's a show pony.
He is.
So
Puff
he
the
bring
Roll
Magic
him out. They
Dragon.
roll him out there for the national events.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, his lack of fucks is unbelievable. Like he pulls it off.
Yeah, he's great.
Like,
He's great. You need that.
Sounds
Gotta
like
have
sounds like he's lying down in the booth.
Gotta have it. He's comfortable talking baseball.
Hey, if I don't, if they don't pick me up for next year, I always got Cooperstown, Little League World Series,
Oh,
Williamsport.
I don't know if that plays there. I don't think that attitude plays at Williamsport.
No, probably not.
No, you gotta be a little bit more.
For the kids.
Yeah, a little bit more family friendly. All right, you got curtain calls. You got a mistake of the day.
I did. I had one.
Well, you got another one, maybe, or some more.
Do we want to touch
Also,
on the betting thing? I did see something.
They keep
else.
giving us a hard time. LSU women's basketball a hard time about missing the national anthem. And
He was on the news again today.
well, the governor is not helping that at all.
He's the one driving. He's not helping. He's trying.
His
I
story.
understand the optics, but like they have, it's not that they are disrespecting the national anthem. They just that part of their routine has always been in the locker room, like being out for the national anthem in basketball isn't, at least in college basketball, I feel like isn't like baseball or NFL. I don't believe, right? I mean, they say according to everything they've done all years, they're in the locker room every year. I mean, every game at that time doing their routine during the anthem. So
I also think too, and I guess off of just what our governor said, in the sense of they should lose their scholarships if they're not out there.
that's aggressive.
Shouldn't that be probably in the scholarship underwriting somewhere in there? Shouldn't that be in the fine print if that's the thing?
Yeah.
You can't just start making up stuff that you should lose if you're not doing certain things, right? Like that should probably be in there.
Right.
So if you want to start putting it in there, then maybe we can talk about that being a thing.
I'm sure it would blow the governor's mind that Army wasn't on the field for the national anthem when they played LSU.
I didn't know that. Of all places that,
Seems like
you got things going on that you got to get ready. I mean, it's sometimes, and like baseball, sometimes the national anthem is different times. Right now, baseball's right before the game. So usually everybody's already out by that time, and so I get it. Staying in the
it
basketball.
feels very much like tied to baseball too.
Yeah.
America's pastime.
Staying on the baseball side, what way came out? I've told everyone a million times that I am coming back to McNeese. Y'all don't believe me for some reason. I don't know why, but I am coming back to McNeese next season.
Where have I heard that before? Every
Usually
head
when
coach ever.
Usually when you start addressing those things, it means the noise is loud.
Well, I knew
on the
that. I
other
mean,
side.
he obviously knows the noise is loud, but I mean,
No. I mean the noise on his phone, not just the noise outside.
That's pretty emphatic right there. Usually when they try to stay on the fence, they're like, oh, I love it here.
No, I think it's the other way. I think anytime you hear "I'm definitely not," that means there's a very good chance it's going the other way. Hey, we're not trading this guy.
We'll see. I think he goes back.
We'll see.
I think he goes back. We'll see.
I think he does too, but I think there's some conversation going on.
Oh no! I mean, no doubt. I mean,
entertainment going on.
I'm sure they've called him.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe they don't want to deal with that. I don't know.
Mistake of the day.
Brought to you by
Dozy Place.
and you.
And me. And This is a mistake for the rest of the field for the Masters because Tiger Woods has eliminated sex as he prepares for Augusta.
Where'd you hear that from?
Would be Lloyd the only one to actually get that story?
Where did you hear that from?
This is from the New York Post, as incredible as it comes. A friend of the 48-year-old golfer says he's focused. He's working really hard at the gym. He's eating right. He's even eliminated sex. He does that now when he's preparing. No sex until the tournament is over. He doesn't want anything to take away his focus.
I find it's hard to believe.
I don't.
I find it even funnier that it wasn't really a headline, but Lloyd made it a headline.
I find it. I mean, I say hard to believe. Like, maybe that'll happen, but like,
Tiger loves him some sex.
How do you know?
It's pretty well known.
it's documented.
But
documented.
I don't have to look up.
How do you know?
Okay. So what's the mistake? Not having sex?
The mistake is for the rest of the field. If
Oh,
this
that's
man's
right. You said
focused
that. That's what
and
you
start
said.
put a little wager on Tiger. He's gonna be pumped up out there.
I don't know. When he was, you know what? You know what?
He's gonna be 18 holes. That's a lot to look at.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Why? What is wrong with this?
I mean, you are. Lloyd's been quiet all show, and then right, it's time to shine. This is where I've been. This is the Lloyd that we've been missing for a long time.
God.
Welcome back.
I got my medicine back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Lloyd, you're terrible.
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're bringing your personality is finally showing out again.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. We need more of it.
I can bring it.
We need more. I feel like we're losing you there for a minute.
Oh, the Vyvanse and these goddamn college kids are taking it all.
Well, I thought you'd take Adderall.
I got that back.
So you got 2.
Yeah.
Wow. You double dosing.
Yeah, now the Vyvanse I haven't had for a month.
And a grilled
Wow.
cheese.
That's tough.
In my pocket.
I mean, a good grilled cheese sounds great. A little basil,
That's where
tomato basil.
That's where I've been. I've been out of commission. That's
Okay.
my whole personality
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
with their withdrawals.
Let's get to the curtain calls. Curtain calls brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
Yeah.
Me and me. What we got today, boys?
Let me lead it off.
Okay, you lead it off.
It's the third one on there, Lloyd.
All right.
Feel free to get to it because it's great. My curtain call goes to Joel Franco. I don't know if anybody heard it, but the Miami Marlins, they have a $52 all-you-can-eat seat. And Joel decided it was a good idea to try it out. So please flip through the cycle of what he did. And my curtain call is this man got...
He took advantage of it, did he not?
He got every bit of advantage of
In
it.
the
and then-
bathroom.
And then they got him.
Hey, Joel, what a move, dude.
Joe, I respect it. Joe
Wow.
said, I'm gonna make sure I get every
That's a great,
dollar
That's
out
great.
of this thing.
That's a great curtain call.
He said he goes $52 for all I can eat. I'm gonna make them regret this.
Oh boy, he's in a bad spot.
Terrible. He got
What you
started
got?
off with a cheeseburger and a
We started
chili
off with the hot dog, then he went to the nachos,
the chili dog, ice cream,
then he went to the sloppy Joe
sloppy Joe,
with popcorn.
peanuts.
He went
cookies.
Third Pepsi of the day, peanuts, cookies.
Did he go hot dog and burger in the first picture?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My man is
Wow.
not playing.
Hey, here's the deal though. What a move. Straw in the Pepsi.
Straw.
And then he realized
Not the second Pepsi.
Then he realized no straw in the Pepsi
I don't
anymore.
need that.
Dying over here.
I need
Wow.
the oxygen to come with it.
Wow.
He missed a good game probably.
That's great.
Oh, man.
That's great. Lloyd, what you got?
My curtain call. I didn't know this was happening. I still don't really know all of the details on it, but it seems cool. LSU always is on the cutting edge of providing entertainment, it feels like. And Travis Scott
Hey.
is coming to town tomorrow. He'll be going to the bookstore, Barnes & Noble, at 12 a.m. So I don't know what
Wow.
that...
I don't know what
What
that
he's going to do
means.
at the bookstore?
You gonna hang out?
No, me and Cactus Jack I think we're done. Now, if I'd have been in college.
I mean, that's wild time to like, I don't know. Promoting, is he about to drop another album or did he just drop an album?
Right.
Is he beefing with Drake?
Also, well,
Is he beefing?
Kendrick's beefing with Drake and J. Cole.
So they
Yeah,
say.
he's taking on two
I
at
mean,
once.
the verse is what everybody's talking about.
That's
I'm
what
waiting
they
for J. Cole to drop something, or Drake to drop something, or do something together.
So they
So they say. We'll see. We'll see. You want to hear my theory on why we haven't seen the Carter 6 yet?
Let's hear it.
Because it was supposed to happen last year. He dropped the Fix Before the Six, right? Lil Wayne I'm talking about. This is, if you're not up in the rap game,
Not hip.
I'm gonna give you all a little
Lesson.
lesson. Every big rapper has their big album, and they usually have multiple albums of that album. Just every, for Lil Wayne,
Iteration.
for Lil Wayne is the Carter. There's the Carter, the Carter 2, the Carter 3, the Carter 4, the Carter 5. He is promoting releasing the Carter 6. Released another album pre-Carter 6 called The Fix Before the 6. Hadn't released the 6. Rumor was it's supposed to release last year. Rumor is supposed to release it this year. I think he's trying to get the halftime show because we talked about our friend Joe Pompliano coming out and talking about how much the halftime show benefits an artist whenever they get to play. And so I think he's trying to figure out if he's going to be able to get that halftime show. And if he does, I think he's going to hold off on releasing the album until 2025 so he can promote it going into the halftime show. That's my prediction. I don't know. Because I was like, how do we get to that? The beef. With
the beef?
Kendrick and those guys. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's fair.
That's what I think.
Fair.
That's my prediction. I could be wrong. I would love it to come out sooner because I would like it to go into the summer and listen to it. But
If he's able to drop it before February and it's a banger, and then you're like, now you have to have him, and he goes on stage.
well, they're gonna make that decision way before then.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I have a feeling he already has it done, but maybe not. All right, my curtain call is to we talked a little bit about the women's basketball game, didn't talk a ton about it. They averaged 12.3 million viewers at Iowa LSU game. Two of the bigger names in women's college basketball. Very polarizing teams. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is otherworldly talent. You have Angel Reese, who, one of the better players ever to come through LSU. You have Kim Mulkey with all the stuff that surrounds them. Defending national champs against Iowa, who was they rematch of the Final Four. 12.3 million viewers. Douglas Pucci?
Pouchet.
No. Pucci.
Pouchet. Pushy.
Says that a dream title game for women's college basketball would be Iowa against South Carolina. They said that would pull in more than 16 million. Grown sport and a lot of star power right now in women's college basketball. So shout out to the girls for being must-watch TV.
No doubt.
That's all I got.
And that game lived up to it, too, because that game was very entertaining.
No doubt.
Very, very entertaining.
No doubt. We appreciate all the love and support. We appreciate you tuning into our show. We will be back live in studio on Friday from 1 to 2-ish. Recapping Thursday night's game, previewing Friday night's game, and hopefully recapping a win. If you like what you see and you like our show, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can't watch us and you like listening to us or anywhere you get your pods, we appreciate the support. We appreciate all the love, and we appreciate you. Lloyd, I appreciate you too.
I appreciate you too, Michael.
We'll see you all on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the baseball game tomorrow. If you're there and you see us, say what's up. We were roaming around. See you on Friday. Peace.
Go Cubs, go.